All right, Nick, let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. Big offseason for the Packers. I think they're just a couple of moves away from being that Super Bowl contender team that everybody knows they can be. We've seen the massive talent with Jordan Love. This team is really special. Just one move away, and there is rumors out there that Packers could be linked to a move that would do just that. This would be huge for the Packers going forward. But before we get to that, I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, big move the Packers have just been linked to. I think this would put them over the edge for sure. Let's get on into the article and we'll talk more about it on the other side. This is from Lombardi Ave. It says, Rappaport and Pelissero, talk about Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero, provided insights into the future of several NFL stars, including none other than Max Crosby. They noted that while Carroll's arrival helps, the Raiders' quarterback uncertainty and roster holes might prevent them from competing in 2025. Then came the most interesting part of the article. It says, while the hiring of Super Bowl winner Pete Carroll was a step towards stability, the Raiders still don't have a franchise quarterback and a ton of work to do on the field to field a competitive roster. Trading Crosby for a bounty of picks would be one way to expedite that process, and Crosby might be welcome to a change, particularly if it's a playoff team where he knows people, e.g. Green Bay. Never before have the words e.g. Green Bay brought so much joy, and they're right to the point out that Crosby would know people. Talking about Josh Jacobs and Keyshawn Nixon are both former teammates of Crosby that are now in Green Bay. I think this is a really interesting article, a great link. I think this is something that has potential to have some legs. Curious what your thoughts are on this one, Nick, but before we get to you, Packers fans, in the comment section below, is this the move that the Packers should make? Will this put the Packers over the edge, getting a massive defensive star like Max Crosby, or is it not? Let us know one way or the other what you think about this move. Do you want it? Do you not want it? Give us your reasoning why in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what do you think about this latest potential move for the Packers?
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. If you look at just what Crosby brings to the table, obviously he's an elite pass rusher, good run defender as well. If you look at the Packers' 2024 PFF grades, those were the two areas of weakness, stopping the run and getting after the quarterback. And Crosby graded out in the mid 70s in both categories in 2024, in which was actually a real down year for him. He actually normally grades out in the 90s as a pass rusher, 80s as a run defender. So if he progresses back to where he was before, it'll be a massive get for Green Bay because their secondary grade, their coverage grade was outstanding. What a difference a year makes. That's a credit to Jeff Lafley, of course. But they need probably one more star pass rusher, one more star edge rusher on the defensive side of the ball to get things headed in a complete direction. They've got a good group of guys, it's clear, but they just need one more stud to really round out that defense. And look, you can never have too many great edge defenders or front four defenders, as the Philadelphia Eagles just demonstrated over the course of the Super Bowl. But there's a real reason that there's momentum behind a potential trade like this. Gutekunst came out earlier this offseason and he talked about it, and we covered it at the time, that it's time to start winning championships. A sense of urgency needs to be with the Green Bay Packers. And we said, listen, Goody's setting up a trade, right? There's no reason the Packers wouldn't. They got the cap space, 42 million bucks plus to make some kind of moves here. They've got the quarterback, they've got the coach. Obviously, adding another playmaker or two on offense would help. Some offensive line help and some strategic parts would probably be nice as well. And maybe another corner, right? Issues there of what the future of that position group is gonna be like. But I think the position of need that no one's really talking about is elite edge rusher, right? We're in an era right now, and again, the Eagles just proved it. The Lions, when they were at full strength, proved it. And in fact, the reason the Vikings were so good record-wise this season is because they were so good at getting after the quarterback and stopping the run. The Packers have to address that this offseason, and the trade with Crosby makes sense. The Packers have the salary cap and the hit to Green Bay if they were to acquire Crosby. Crosby's 2025 cap hit would just be 18 million bucks the way things are structured now for Mason Crosby, and then 25 million bucks in 2026. That ain't that much for a guy Max Crosby's caliber right here. I think he'd be a great addition to this Packers defense, and it just makes sense. The Raiders are looking to kind of change directions, go in a different direction, try and get their franchise finally squared away. They need draft picks, they need draft capital. There are some rumors that they're trying to trade up in the draft to maybe get a quarterback, their franchise quarterback. I think it makes a lot of sense for both parties, and I wouldn't be surprised if, when push comes to shove, if the Packers make this deal.
Yeah, Nick, and I think the point that you bring up about this making sense for both teams is the most important part here. I think Vegas, Crosby, they're not one Max Crosby coming back and playing next year away from being contenders. There's a lot more that that team needs. Max Crosby, unfortunately for the Raiders, isn't going to make or break them, and they'd probably be better off with the draft capital that they would be able to acquire from trading a superstar like Crosby. Green Bay, on the other hand, they are one Max Crosby away from being contenders. I truly believe a guy of Max Crosby's caliber, will raise the play of everyone else on this defense. And like you said, we saw in this Super Bowl, the ability to rush for and get to the quarterback with your front four is more important now than ever. And that's exactly what Max Crosby will bring to the table. We talk about Crosby had a down year, 74 grade, but we also talk about on this channel, you got to have corroborating evidence when you look at stuff. And if you look at the last 3 seasons for Crosby, I think the 74 is more of an outlier than the norm for him. He has 3 90 plus graded seasons, back to back to back seasons for Crosby. So I think that's really where he's at. That's his skill level. He's one of the best edge rushers in all of the NFL when he's at his peak. And I think going to a team like Green Bay, playing for a contender like Green Bay, will allow Max Crosby to get back to his peak form.